So the gun debate's reared its ugly head again, and it must be a slow news day. It also appears that the Australian Medical Association wants to get involved and have a go. So I thought it was time to separate the facts from the fiction. Do we truly live in a gun culture? And what do the statistics actually say? Well, you can always tell when people are pushing ideological agendas when they conflate numbers and statistics for shock value or clickbait. Here is a headline that would make you think you lived in the US. If it's not headlines, it's the publishing of so-called guidelines, like that of the Australian Medical Association, where you would be forgiven for thinking after reading them that you can walk down to your local gun shop and pick up an AK-47 because, hey, you just felt like it. And hey, that needs to be stopped. And also the cops have no idea where all the guns are. By the way, they even claim that there may be up to 6 million, yes, 6 million illegal firearms in Australia, which is actually over 2 times that of the number of legal firearms in Australia. Luckily for us, the Australian Criminal Intelligence Commission has published a report showing the number to be more likely 260,000, which is still a lot, mind you, but a heck of a lot less than the exaggerated clickbait number of 6 million proffered by the AMA. So here are the facts. Sources are in the description, so please do your own research. There is a mandatory 28-day waiting period before you can obtain a gun license. After you have provided a genuine reason for needing a firearm, completed your safety test, and passed your background check. Imagine my surprise when it became clear that I couldn't just go down to a gun shop and get my license on the spot. After you get your license, there's a further 28-day waiting period before you can acquire a firearm. Yes, that's right. Again, imagine my shock when I found out I couldn't, after having a heated argument with someone, go down to my local gun shop and pick up a shiny new bazooka in order to have my rage-filled vengeance. Then there's the matter of storage. I simply thought you could put it under your bed in the event that you had to macho up and defend your home. But alas, the cops actually make you put the firearm in a safe, with the firing mechanism stored in a separate location. The narrative here is clearly skewed by ideology. The AMA, along with other organizations, are painting the picture that there are gun-toting rednecks with fully automatic weapons stored under their beds who are willing to pull them out and shoot you dead if you wind up having an argument with them. This is simply not the case. So let's break down the stats. According to the Australian Bureau of Statistics, the total deaths in 2015 was 159,052 individuals, of which the total number of suicides were 3,027. Of those suicides, 177 were committed with a firearm, which represents a total of 5.84% of all suicides. By comparison, intentional self-harm by hanging, strangulation, and suffocation was 1,705 separate incidents, or a whopping 56% of all suicides. When it comes to murders or homicides, the total number of homicides committed in 2015 were 265. Of which only 27 were committed by a firearm, which represents approximately 10%. During 2004-05, identified offenders using a firearm to commit homicide, only 17% used registered firearms. This would equate to approximately 5 out of the 27 murders being committed with a registered weapon. As a side note, the report also mentions 4 firearm-related deaths resulting from a discharge where intent was undetermined, so perhaps accidents, etc. Oh, and by the way, just for context, there are approximately 730,000 registered gun owners nationally with some 2.7 million registered firearms. So what about other crime? How about robbery with a gun? Well, the stats aren't so good for the AMA here either, with a total of 888 robberies committed with a firearm out of a total of 11,602. And as you can also see, that was the least chosen weapon. In fact, according to the Australian Institute of Criminology, a firearm was the least used weapon in all 3 categories of homicide, robbery, and kidnapping, with an obvious downward trend in all of those figures. What we have here, ladies and gentlemen, is a case of virtue signaling and ideology-fueled fantasies. What is evident through the numbers is that there is a suicide problem in this country, and perhaps the AMA should be focused on the causes and treatment for that, rather than the easy target of guns and gun ownership, no pun intended.